Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Vintage at the request of an anonymous Patreon subscriber who asked me to play a Lurrus control deck and whatever version was up to me, just whatever I thought could win a tournament. And while I have not been tuning these decks myself since Eternal Weekend, and I did play Lurrus control at 2 of the 3 Eternal Weekends last year, my process for when I'm a little out of the loop is I look for what decks are winning and then who's winning with them. And while Esper Lurrus is much more popular than Dimir Lurrus right now, Dimir Lurrus seems to be winning more, at least in the last couple weeks. And among pilots, I noticed that Montolio, who is an old school, longtime vintage player, he's an Eternal Weekend winner, Star City Power 9 series winner, longtime person with great resume, and he has a recent challenge top 8 and followed up the next day with another 5-0 posted with basically this list of Dimir Lurrus. The flex slots here, we've got 2 null rods in the main, which is important. There's a lot of artifact combo going on right now, and PO is a tough matchup for this deck. Seal of Removal, removing creatures, extra important right now. Also Momentum Breaker. Seeing both of these in the list is pretty exciting, and this is a lot of respect for creatures. There's White Initiative, there's Scrawling Crawlers, there's Oath of Druids out there. It's an important time to get things out of play that Fatal Push might not necessarily catch. This is a spot where Dimir has to work a little harder because the Esper deck just gets Swords to Plowshares, which deals with anything. But as far as the Dimir list goes, there's a lot of respect for creatures, and I like it. We've got a Mindbreak Trap in here to supplement the 7 forces. That's a lot of respect for losing the game on turn 1. And after that, it becomes pretty stock. The Psychic Frogs, the Orcish Bowmasters, these are how we win. There's Lurrus, Treasure Cruise, and Dig Through Time to reload. This is a straight-up control deck. It looks like a tempo deck, but we're not playing formats where tempo is really viable. In Vintage, turn 1 might already be too late to try to get slightly ahead and stay there. We're trying to go 1 for 1, even 1 for 2 with the 7 forces to survive the early turns, and then get a Psychic Frog going or a Lurrus going, some steady source of card advantage that will recoup all those cards and make us unbeatable in the late game. This league is timely. I have 2 vintage tournaments that I care about coming up. One of them is a smaller local thing. I'm in the vintage seat on a Team Trios event. And then, of course, the NYSE Open is coming up in June. Power 9 prizes for the entire top 8. That's an important one to be on top of the format for. Let's do it. This is one of Vintage's top decks. This is Lurrus Control. I'm on the play in round 1. I don't trust Wasteland as my only mana source. If I was certain this was PO, I might give this hand a chance with the double force, but if it's the mirror, this is so bad. Mulligan. Oof. This is not much better, but I am going to keep it. The sewers to the bottom, and I'm going to go Polluted Delta plus Jet and pass the turn. If this is the mirror, having Bowmaster to answer their Bowmaster is pretty nice. Uh-oh. We bet wrong. I guess it could still be Esper. Though not with Mox Emerald and Mana Vault in it. Immediately wish I had the other hand. Black Lotus too, okay. I'm going to fetch in the end step for my Surveil land. They might PO in response, which is kind of annoying, but yeah, maybe that was worth playing around. I was about to say that's not worth playing around, because they have to pick all that up in their end step and then discard 2 cards. Like, they really just filtered cards there, which is an interesting way to think about that, because they spent the PO. Right, I will take Probe. They spent the PO, which is a card. Then they had to discard 2 cards in the end step, and all that to draw 3 cards. Like, there's cost 3 cards for them to draw 3 cards. That was a big filter. And obviously filtering is useful, but it's not as good as, like, if that was in their main phase and they just dumped all those back out again. I'm not sure if I'm talking myself into the poor play I made. Like, what if I had just gone to my turn? Or, like, I don't know if this is cope or if it was smart, honestly. I'm trying to assess that in real time. They discarded a land and Flame of Anor in the last end step. Discarding the land is nice, because I can punish that with the Wasteland. Ancestral Recall. I'm going to respond with Bowmaster. I actually want to counter this, but if they spend a counter on Bowmaster, then I can fight over the Ancestral. Perfect. All right, Force Pitching Force on Bowmaster. That was bait. And the Ancestrals countered and follow-up stock up. Yeah, this is why this matchup's so bad. They just have so many ways to pull ahead, and your interaction's not that effective. Time Walk. Mox Sapphire. That is one of the better Moxen they could have. Okay. What's left over there? There's 2 cards in hand. One that was in their hand post stock up, and then one that they just drew for turn. Their resources don't buy or play Lurrus. They can't play stock up or PO here. Their Ancestral's in the graveyard. Okay, that just unlocked basically everything. Wow, okay, just put Lurrus in hand. It wouldn't surprise me to see them just untap their Mana Vault next turn. Oh, that's nice. Well, I'm not really bluffing anything here. I'll just play the frog and hope that they spend a turn spinning wheels while I can pull ahead. F6, baby. Lost their Crypt Flip. Is it time to untap Mana Vault? Or are you going to roll the dice on having a good draw? They have so many good draws, it's probably worth rolling the dice here. Ruby's not one of them. Hexing Squelcher, I don't actually care about. Another frog. Okay, I could attack into Squelcher and dare them to block. Their hand is Lurrus, that they're not close to casting. If Squelcher's in play, it doesn't matter if I draw a counterspell here. Alright, yeah, I'm just going to attack. I'll discard the other frog and then work on Lurrus, which can play the other frog. And if they don't block, I'll just enjoy drawing a card. I am ahead right now, but it's extremely tenuous. We are one good draw away from being buried. Okay, Psychic Frog got in. You love to see it. Play the other frog. And I'm going to hold back this blue to delta as frog damage. Hashtag frog damage. Okay, they are investing in the Mana Vault this turn, but that still leaves up PO or stock up mana. A Black Lotus already in the graveyard as well. Another land that doesn't cast Lurrus. Okay, starting to get some traction here. And now I have Squelcher super covered. It's not even... Like last turn when I drew the frog, I didn't really want to discard that, but I could. And I'm just going to draw 2 cards. Brainstorm, love it. Time Walk, love it even more. Right, I know their hand. I have full control of the world here. Right, I can't counter their spells now, but I might be able to later. I think I'm just going to put Pierce and Misstep away, and then fetch and play Time Walk. I wish I could get this other frog in before Time Walking, but that seems like I'm just being greedy. A bonus turn. Oh, they're just scooping to that. Hell yeah. I think that scoop is early. Why is Hexing Squelcher in your deck if you're not willing to ride everything on a bonus top deck out of it? But okay. PO is the name of the game. I thought for sure I was losing that one when that stock up resolved. I felt okay after the PO. I felt great countering the Ancestral, and then the stock up, I was just like, yeah, there it is. But it just kind of didn't convert. Right, there are 4 Null Rods in this build. That is a commitment to artifact nonsense. Null Rod doesn't beat the PO deck by itself, but having 5 Wastelands on top of the Null Rod kind of does. Or that's the game we're playing towards. I don't think I want any of these other cards in. Might even want a Fatal Push out, or is Seal of Removal's blue, which is kind of important. I like Momentum Breaker just fine. I could keep my Swamp and cut Mox Jet instead, because I have 4 Null Rods in my deck. I'm not getting Wastelanded in this matchup, which is why I feel moderately confident with shaving on mana. Is Seal of Removal actually better than Fatal Push? Being blue, no, it's a worse removal spell, but it is a better blue card. And my 7 Force is probably pretty important here. This gives me 4 answers to a Squelcher. I think I've seen like 2 or 3 in decks across 2 or 3 Squelchers. Is Momentum Breaker better than Fatal Push? Fatal Push being an instant lets me interact. I don't need Soul Guide Lantern in. They're a Lurrus deck. I am playing 4 Null Rods now. Okay, I'm gonna go bonus Momentum Breaker. That might be one step too far, but I'm here to try it. Okie dokie. I have a Force, but it would involve deleting my Ancestral and double Null Rod. I have to keep this hand, though. I wish it had one more blue card in it. Ruby. Soul Ring. Thundertrap Trainer. It's all in there. It's happening. It should come to the surprise of no one, but Black Lotus is the best card I could draw right now. That's a frequently true fact in all of Magic. Is Black Lotus good on turn 1? Am I providing valuable insight for your time spent here? It mocks Opal after some thinking. Time Walk. Yeah, game on. Okay. Pretty good turn 1. Not gonna lie. Mana Vault. Additional exposure to these Null Rods if I could survive to the point where I have 2 mana. Con Queso. I think I have to fight over this one. Yeah. The 1 for, or the 2 for 1, I'll try to endure. The 3 for 1, it's too much. Oh my god. Alright, well, Mox Pearl was a great draw, because now I can ram this Null Rod ahead of schedule. If that resolves, which it did, and then Wasteland can clip this Volcanic Island, we might just be right back home. Thunder Trap Trainer coming in. Fluty Duty. Alright, now I can do stuff. I think what I want to do this turn is develop a second Null Rod, because their outs to this card is like Portable Hole, and if I can get ahead of that, because like the reflex to waste their only source of mana is strong, but also that source of mana doesn't cast their 1 mana answer to Null Rod. Demonic Tutor. And I love drawing good cards. Okay, rip off this Wasteland. Floated red. I don't care. Yeah, using the Wasteland now, Tolarian Academy is a great draw for them. Again, that's always going to be true. It's like the old turn 1 Black Lotus. Okay, they've had enough. I feel like this opponent is a little itchy to just get on to the next match. Like scooping game 1 with the density of draws they had in Hexing Squelcher online and scooping this game when I haven't presented a threat yet. And it's okay to want to move on to your next thing, but at Eternal Weekend, at NYSE, you should play this out. On to the next one.
The NYSE Open is returning on June 6, 2026 to Long Island, New York. This proxy-friendly vintage tournament has the guaranteed prize pool of 8 pieces of Power 9 to be drafted by the top 8 based on final standings. Any additional profits made from the event will be added to the prize pool as on-site vendor credit. This tournament has been great the last 2 years. How often do you get to act sad about winning just a time walk? You know I'll be there. See you at the NYSE Open on June 6 on Long Island, New York. Use my link in the video description or find the New York Stacks Exchange on melee.gg.
I'm on the play for round 2 with another Lurrus Pokemon battle. I will keep this hand. This has a bunch of lands and Bowmaster if it's the mirror, and a bunch of free interaction if it's not. Volcanic Island. Probably a good sign for the quality of my hand. Soul Ring, I'll let that in. 1 spell. 2 spells. Alright, they know how to stop. Another Wasteland. Do I think Bowmaster or starting to beat up on mana will be more useful to me here? And with Soul Ring and Lotus in play, beating up on mana might seem a little silly. But Lotus is a one-shot. And Soul Ring's colorless. I'll try it. Oh. I've heard of that one. Lurrus in hand. No spells played yet. Force this Lurrus. Alright, they force back. That's 2 spells. I'm gonna clip this Lotus if they replay it. Okay. Lurrus is good because of the cards in your graveyard. Otherwise, it's a 3-2. Oh, Spell Pierce, thanks for showing up, dickbag. Okay, I am going for the Mana Denial. This Bowmaster could pick off Lurrus at my convenience. I have taken the Mana Denial posture here, hoping that we get to a spot where this matters after they had incredible mana the first few turns. All right, here's the Spell Pierce that I obviously just drew. But it did find a home. Lurrus in. Pass. Now they gotta think if attacking's even worth it. Mox Pearl. Thunder Trap Trainer. That's 2 spells. Time Walk. That card's good. Wowie. Alright. Are we getting paid? We are. Holy smokes. Okay. I hope I'm able to punish this. Alright, Psychic Frog. I'm just gonna jam it in there. I'm not bluffing anything. Okay, we know they have Time Walk in hand, but we also know that's not a high impact spell on its own. They need to do something else. Okay, just setting up a Surveil. Kept the card on top. Scary. I really don't want to see a stock up. If this is like Swords to Plowshares to stabilize, I can accept that and move on. Oh, it's just pass. Interesting. Okay. Are they waiting for me to jump my frog? Or waiting for me to pump my frog? Alright, I will jump the frog. Wasteland, Wasteland, Mindbreak Trap, exiled. I have Delve spells, but I don't have ways to get spells back from my graveyard. A frog flying in. Okay. Frog connected. I like that, I guess. I'll play a land and purchase my Lurrus. I do have a Surveil land in the deck. There's some value to this fetch. They may have kept on top and answered a Lurrus, just playing the super long game, absorbing the Psychic Frog for a while. Merchant Scroll. Are they going to have something like Gifts Ungiven? Or is this Ancestral and hope it works? Okay. Flame of Anor will trigger Bowmaster, but they do get to take out my frog and draw some cards. Okay. They're just sitting on it. Oh, they're playing around Spell Pierce. Cool. I'll let them. I'm not going to fetch now, even though I want to. Cruise your daddy. Okay. I guess I'll attack with Psychic Frog, and I am prepared to discard Mox Sapphire here. I know Frog's going to die, probably, but that leaves the coast clear for me to stick Lurrus. Oh, killing Bowmaster instead. That's so strange. Okay. I'll take some damage then. I guess their plan is to draw cards to get out of this. But these PO decks can outmuscle Bowmaster. Like, you're at 19. Do I even want to play Lurrus now? Or do I want to cruise? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If I fetch an untapped land, I can just tap out for cruise. If I fetch a Surveil, I have to bin whatever I look for, so I'm just going to get an untapped land. Cruising, and Day's kind of a nice pickup there. I mean, they have a lot of mana, but I hope they need it. Stock up, okay. I've basically done everything awesome this game and won every exchange, but I'm still now miles behind. Without the things like Null Rod really locking down their options, it can spiral out pretty quickly. Yeah, stock up finds Ancestral Recall, pretty good. There's this Saga, that's a whole game plan by itself. Please cast another stock up. Let me get a Daze here. Oh no, not now. Caspio. Soul Guide Lantern. Alright. That's not bad. That does make Lurrus worse. There's the stock up. Okay. Bing. A little cheeky little Daze here on turn 8 into your 12 mana. Good thing that Soul Guide Lantern resolved. Okay. To my turn we go. I'm gonna attack first, because I could draw a Spell Pierce or something that helps the Null Rod resolve. Hit you with the Frog. Fatal Push. Not what I was looking for. Null Rod. That resolved. Cool. Okay. Now I have a Bowmaster as well. The Fatal Push will help get through the Urza Saga. Mana Vault. Hell yeah. That makes the constructs larger. But I mostly don't care. I am going to push Bowmaster here. I like spending my mana when I can. 2 Fatal Pushes. Alright, now I don't care about Urza Saga at all. Okay, attack with everybody. Urza Saga is very powerful, but there does create this friction of it unlocks all the removal that's obviously still in my deck because it's game 1. Oh. Okay. I could target me with this, or I could start thinking about doing something funny with it with Bowmaster next turn. I think I'm just going to draw 3 cards. Is that okay with everyone? Vexing Bauble. Is that card good? If I play Vexing Bauble, it does create new rules for the game, because I can't sack it. I think I just want a Demonic for a force. Though my opponent could search for Vexing Bauble out of their saga, and then what have I done? I'm a mana short of Demonic for Time Walk and just winning the game. Alright, I will DT, and I'm thinking of just grabbing a Spell Pierce here, honestly. Yeah, alright. Playing it super tight, super safe. Alright, they made the construct. That's good news for me. If they don't have something better to do with their mana than make a 6/6 right now, then I'm in great shape. Yep, they got the Vexing Bauble. I'm glad I got the counterspell that I did here. Soporific Springs. Tapped. This game looks pretty over to me. They just locked themselves out of forcing. Okay, yeah, they just conceded without even seeing what I had. They're just like, yeah, actually, I can't do anything. Cool. All right, main deck Null Rod showing up. Again, opponent fully functional for a couple turns there. Maybe just not playing around that daze on that last stock up might have been the difference. Okay, here we are again. Same matchup. I think I cut Jet last round when it should have been Pearl. That was just an oopsie. Because what happened was I was cutting my basic swamp, then realized a Mox is probably worse than a land here because of 4 Null Rods. And then I just cut the Mox that matched the land I was cutting, when actually Mox Pearl is just off color. Oops. Scoreboard. Okay, we saw Stock Ups, Thundertrap Trainers, Flame of Anors. I didn't see a PO. I don't think Breach has that package in it. Like, I'm just thinking about the upside of leaving in the Soul Guide Lantern versus boarding out like a Fatal Push or something. Last round I did side grade Fatal Push into Momentum Breaker, because this also does things when they don't have creatures. Yeah, I'll stick with that for now, until I'm told otherwise. Our Lurruses are revealed. I've got Double Force Bowmaster. I will keep this. It's missing blue mana, but you don't need blue mana immediately. Though unlocking the Spell Pierces would be pretty nice. Tundra. Mox Ruby. Mox Sapphire. Force of Negation, this stock up. Alright, that's gone. Seal of Removal. Okay, that's a better card for me to pitch, at least. I'm going to go Jet Wasteland, and not wasting them here is pretty suspicious. It's telling the story that is true, which is that I have Orcish Bowmaster in my hand. Undertrap Trainer. That one is going to be okay, I guess. The P-Hole. Alright, well, everybody knows about this. I'm just going to play it. And they've missed a land drop, which makes this Wasteland pretty exciting. Oh, poor Daze. Okay. Daze with no islands. We're both kind of playing restricted here. They have more Moxen than me, and they have the blue one. Time Walk, I don't care about that. I actually think attacking there would have been pretty good, because I'm not going to double block. Right, Mox Emerald still doesn't cast spells. Does Polaris in hand. Alright, deck, can we find an island? Demonic Tutor. Close. My next land is going to be so good. Yeah, their mana, again, not close to casting Lurrus. The 3 Moxen they have are the 3 that don't cast Lurrus. Oh, baby. Set me loose. Underground Sea in play now. That one of Lorien revealed, tying the room together. Your opponent's still bricking off draw steps here. Okay, now I can play Demonic without tapping out a Spell Pierce. I'm going nuts. I think Null Rod is a lot better than Ancestral Recall here, which would be the other card I get. Yeah, Null Rod knocks out 100% of their mana here. And I have Wasteland ready for their next land drop. I just gotta push it through with this ball of interaction I have. Undertrap has to be okay. This is not the fight I'm fighting. Wow, it missed. That's so unlikely in these decks. Hey, Lurrus and Portable Hole are 2 of their 6 cards in hand. Ooh, an island. That could help me win a fight. Null Rod. I've posed the question. What is your response? Response is nothing. I love that. Okay, passing the turn. They do have the Portable Hole, so a Tundra can challenge the Null Rod as far as they know, though my hand is rolled up against that. Brainstorm. Do I want to do that rather than just put Lurrus in my hand? I think so. I would like to see some different cards. Here we go. I don't think I need Strip Mine. And the Seal of Removal. Seal of Removal is my blue card for Force that I'm happy to pitch, though might not need it all. All right, Strip Mine and Seal of Removal go back. And let's start breaking momentum here. I got to get through these trainers somehow. And pass. Speed is 1. Okay, do I want to redraw Seal of Removal? I don't think so. I'm going to fetch my Surveil Land here. Sewer. Oh, yeah. I'm interested. I want to just discarded Lurrus to hand size. Oh, disrespectful stuff. Ancestral Recall myself, resolved without any sort of fight. What's in that hand? I want to know. Yeah, a bunch of uncastable spells. I love that. Love that for me. Tough for you, though. I'm going to put Lurrus in my hand. There's no reason to Time Walk here. I'm not really doing anything except untapping a couple lands with that. And they've had enough. I think once the secrets are revealed, just the experience of getting Gitaxian probed when you're struggling, it's like, you can cope for a while. It's like, well, my opponent doesn't know all of the plows and pyroblasts and portable holes I have once I find a single land. And now that I do know, it's like, ugh, okay. You've seen my darkest secrets. On to the next round.
The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here.
I'm on the draw in round 3. Opponent said in the chat they're new to Vintage, but their first 2 games were mega fun. So we might be in round 3 playing against someone who's playing their 3rd game of Vintage ever. This being non-Lurrus, kind of spooky, because I don't have Force of Will, and there's a bunch of decks that could just make it so I can't play the game. However, I really like the card Ancestral Recall, so I'm going to run it. A Misty Rainforest out of a non-Lurrus deck. Are we playing against Oath, perhaps? Or Doomsday? Ponder. Underground Sea, Ponder. Doomsday definitely does this. There are Oath builds that play Ponder. It could also be some kind of Tinker, non-Lurrus Tinker deck. There are bigger Tinker decks. There is Beseech the Mirror Storm decks. There's a range of folks who might be into this, but I should imagine that the cards Tinker or Atraxa are probably in their deck. And Moxjet, after not shuffling Ponder. Mana Vault, we're going to the moon. Okay, I will get an opportunity to play the game. For that, I am thankful. Spell Pierce and Ancestral up right now. Well, Spell Pierce or Ancestral up right now. I don't get both. I don't think Doomsday plays Mana Vault. This is pretty spooky because they have enough mana to resolve Tinker through a Spell Pierce. Okay, they just passed the turn. I'll take that. Ooh, all right. Probe. Give me them tasty little secrets. I was debating whether I should say this out loud or not, but casting Gataxian Probe reminds me of the Charlie XCX song, Guess, where the lyrics are, try it, bite it, lick it, split it, pull it to the side and get all up in it. That's how I feel casting Gataxian Probe or Thoughtseize. I'm pulling it to the side and getting all up in it. All right, mental messed up on that. Keep your secrets. I'll just pass the turn. Opponent did not want me to guess the color of their underwear. Vampiric Tutor. Yuck. I suspect Tinker is the next step of this journey. Okay. Opponent has their favorite card on top of their deck right now. It's possible I should have Ancestraled in my own end step. I didn't Ancestral on my turn because I don't want to discard cards. Tez. Okay, do I want to Ancestral in response to this? Or let them go down the chain a little bit? Yeah, they could just untap Mana Vault with Tez, and there's just kind of free money. But if they don't, now Spell Pierce is online. Okay, this is a search. I would not be surprised to see a key, or maybe a Vexing Bauble, even. Oh, a Black Lotus. I've heard of that one. Okay, I'm going to Ancestral in response to this. There's some universe where Spell Pierce might help me here. But if this Lotus resolves, I think we're kind of off it. Okay. 2 spells this turn. That's nice. Love that Mindbreak Trap for me. I love that Null Rod hanging out there too. Great Flex Locks decisions, Montolio. Okay, we're just playing around Mindbreak Trap now. I will take this opportunity to fetch Surveil. Another Underground Sea. I'm good. I've got lands. I've got lands forever. Where's the Saga? Develop that one. And Null Rod. Hope this is good against this artifact deck. Ooh, Hardcast Force gets the Spell Pierce. Nice. Moment of truth. Okay. Null Rod is in. Tezzeret is still a thing that does things, I guess. If they play enough artifacts, the Tez can start standing them up for combat. If they have one artifact, then Tez could search for another one. Maybe they could get a portable hole or something, but they need another color before that's a problem for me. The Tez can at least help them not bleed out to their own Mana Vault. Alright, there's a Saga. It's your turn to shine. Oh, wow. How about no mana? Mystical Tutor. What spell do we want here with no mana to cast it? That's going to be interesting. So I want to like put Ancestral Recall on top of the deck in case you someday draw a land to cast it. Chain of Vapor. Okay, yeah, that's kind of the same thing. That one breaks the Null Rod if you ever have mana to do the thing, which is not a given, especially knowing that missed a land drop last turn and just drew Chain of Vapor. End step. This construct will finish off Tezzeret. I now drew a counterspell for the Chain of Vapor if it ever gets online. Soul Guide Lantern's already in my hand. None of these are going to work. Who would Vexing Bauble be worse for? I have to assume it's the player with no mana. All right, I'll take Vexing Bauble. And I'm going to risk it for the biscuit here and play Soul Guide Lantern. It's getting... Or no, I'm not, because that doesn't matter. I'm attacking Tez this turn. Though now... What am I worried about? Yeah, okay. Never mind. I should have held on to that fetch land, because Tez is going to die anyway, and I can at least cast Mental Misstep with this mana. Okay, squeezed him out. A kind of dedicated Tinker or Doomsday decks that are trying to resolve one super important spell are very different matchups than PO that has just that critical mass of stock ups and Flame of Anors and POs and everything. These are good matchups. All right, I'm not sure if Fatal Push is doing anything. They might have stuff like Glaring Fleshraker, but I have Forces and Consigns, and Null Rods can turn off the tops, and then I care less about Fleshraker. Psychic Frog could get in front of it. Seal of Removal, is that important? It's blue. Well, okay. And I don't know if they're doing graveyard stuff. If this is like a Yawgmoth's Will deck, that's still possible. Grafdigger's Cage turns off Yawgmoth's Will and Bolas's Citadel, though it also turns off Lurrus. I guess having one of these in the pool of things I could tutor for makes sense, so that's in the wrong pile. That's going in, not out. That lets me get Soul Guide Lantern out. Oh, we're doing the 4 Null Rod thing again. I'll shave a Mox Pearl. Okay, here we go. I'm still not entirely sure what their win condition is. On the draw, the no mana hand, Black Lotus is mana. Definitely keeping. Basic Island. Oh no! Thwarted. My 2 Wastelands. This Basic Island is pretty much him to Turok. Dark Ritual. Tezzerino. Okay. I'm gonna force that pitching Daze. Got my ass. Turns out going first is pretty good. Okay. I'm probably in trouble here. See, is Tez gonna get Black Lotus and keep partying? Are we gonna get Manifold Key and try to set up a future Time Vault? Alright, Mox Jet just to play the game. Also reasonable. Sensei's Top. Alright, there's that thing. Gitaxian Probe. We're gonna misstep this. Nope. Alright, Fatal Push. Alright, let's go. Consigned to Memory. Unlocked. That saves me the pressure of losing 2 cards to fight one thing. Who didn't spin top in the upkeep. I wonder if there's just not a stop set there. But that's a great opportunity to fix your draw a little bit when nothing else is going on. There's 3 mana showing with Tez untap. I can and will force a Tinker. I think I'd consign to memory most things that I could consign here. Oh, that's nasty. But I'll play around it. I'll let you have your Demonic Tutor, and then we'll talk about what comes out of it on the other side. I did just play around Daze. That's kind of tight. Oh, because I did just show one. I just pitched one to force. That was a face-up Daze. Opponent might not know that's frequently a one of in these decks. Vexing Bobs. That makes my consign to memory better, but my force of will worse. But I am in a position where I can crack this off if I need to. This also bricks Bolas's Citadel. Good chance my opponent just tutored for Ancestral Recall, actually. But they could have cast it, but not if they're worried about Daze. Like, they could have gone black off Mox Jet, get Ancestral, rip it off. Oops. That's probably a new to vintage moment. No judgment, happens to the best of us. Now, what's the card you Demonic Tutored for? That's the important part here. I can consign a colorless spell, I can crack Bauble, and force. something like Tinker or Ancestral. And then I have Lurrus Lotus for next turn. Time Vault. Well, that's a game-ending spell. Oh, right, because Tezzeret is just the combo piece. That's obviously what they were going to get the entire time. Makes sense to me. That's kind of the reason Tezzeret is so good in this format. Okay, Time Vault's in the graveyard. What can I do here? I can hold up Hardcast Force. I could crack Vexing Bauble and see if something happens. I can't quite crack Bauble, get play Lurrus, and then do more stuff all at once right now. I might end step crack Vexing Bauble, and then go to my turn, cast Lurrus, and get my Lotus back. Though knowing that Fatal Push is there makes that not particularly sexy. Ooh, flipping the top. They like whatever's on top of the deck here. Or they're just trying to get loyalty on Tezzeret. As you can flip and then play top every turn and slowly tick Tezzeret up. Even one activation or one spell here gets Tezzeret to a second tutor option. And I'm not going to burn a Force of Will on that. Right, here's the Tez tutor. Soul Ring. That one does get in the mix here pretty effectively. I do need to do something. Like, I need a Null Rod or a Frog going. I am going to crack off this Bauble. Another Wasteland. Orcish Bowmasters. The Bromasters. I was going to play Lurrus this turn. Am I still going to play Lurrus this turn? I'm pretty confident it will resolve. I'm not confident it will survive. Do I want to be spending Force of Will on Fatal Push on Lurrus? That's the real question. Okay, I am going to go for Lurrus here. I think this is a reasonable spot to push an advantage. The Sensei's top is how they get Revolt, and if they flip the Sensei's top, Bowmaster can kill Tezzeret. I got kind of double coverage here. And activating Sensei's top for the looks. If they flip top, I will Bowmaster Tezzeret here. Here we go. All right, I'll take out Tez while, like right now, this top is being flipped and Tez is being targeted when they don't have mana to Fatal Push. And now I can make decisions like, do I want to force this top on the way back down? And then it's hard for them to get Revolt. But if they flip the top, Bowmaster pings them again. And, all right, yeah, I'm not going to force top, and I might not even force Fatal Push. Actually, I think I have enough pressure here that I can play a different kind of game. I'm not, yeah, if I'm not forcing stock up, yeah, I'm not. I'm holding my horses. I think the way that I lose this game is if I panic. And I'd love to get this Vexing Bauble back into play next turn with Lurrus. Then I have a draw engine, and I cut off a bunch of my opponent's options. My kingdom for a Null Rod, though. Mox Pearl, found. We know there's a top and a Fatal Push in the hand. Dark Ritual, cooking. Okay, I think I want to let Beseech resolve, and then I'll counter what comes out of it. Famous last words, right? But I would really prefer Yogg-Will to just not be in the mix anymore, or Tinker to not be in the mix anymore. Beseech for Beseech. Oh, are we just building Storm the ugly way? Storm is 5. Yeah, this doesn't kill me. It can't have Force Blue card. It's illegal. Yeah, there's the Yogg-Will. Okay, Diamond Hands. Glad I didn't fight over stock up. Nice, okay. Yeah, getting the 2 extra mocks in as well. I mean, that was a tight line from the opponent doing that. Oh, pew, 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 pew. Sometimes you just rip a heater right after all this other shit just happened. Do I think Vexing Bauble or Black Lotus is better here? And Spell Pierce is pretty solid on this board, but that's all it's got. Next turn, Black Lotus can play Frog. Yeah, all 4 Wastelands, all dressed up, nowhere to go. If an opponent rips off a Tinker here for something that's not Bolas' Citadel, if they have a Juke monster, that might actually still win the game. Oh, right, I knew the top was in the hand, too. I forgot about that one. I knew they couldn't have Force Blue card because of the Fatal Push, but I just forgot that we knew both cards in hand, and that was totally safe. It was totally safe anyway, but I did forget. Spinning the top. I'm going to draw a card in the end step. Demonic Tutor. And the ability to cast Time Walk. Okay. Vexing Bauble. DT. Yeah, Time Walk. If they have Spell Pierce, they could punish this. Just going to hope they don't. Time Walk. If I don't play Vexing Bauble, then Spell Pierce doesn't punish me here, and there's no card they could have. I guess if they have a blue card in their hand and they're floating a Force on top, the Vexing Bauble could cover that. All right, sweet. Yeah, for third match of vintage ever, opponent put up some sweet combo lines other than, casting that Mox into Vexing Bauble. And now that I've seen their deck, that might have even been intentional to build Storm. I don't know their life. Okay, on to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks. And groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I am on the play in round 4 versus Mafouche Van Gogh, who, this is actually a whole story. He is a legacy dredge expert. He also borrowed my Bazaar of Baghdad's to play in Eternal Weekend last year. And at the end of the tournament, I asked, how was it? And he was like, it was fine, but I didn't really like being all in on Bazaar. I think Dredge could be constructed better than this. And I said, if anyone can figure it out, it's you. And I know he's been out here trying to work on a black Dredge deck that actually has mana in it and can make decisions other than mull to Bazaar than tap the Bazaar. And I'm excited to play against him. I'm also excited that my hand just has Wasteland and my one of Soul Guide Lantern both in it. Okay, Mox Sapphire, I'll start there. Underground Sea. And I will invest the Soul Guide Lantern, even though it doesn't hit anything right now. I would rather let him tap the Bazaar once. But if he griefs it out of my hand, that stinks so hard. A Bazaar. There's not really anything of value lost here. 1 Imp, 1 Therapy. Pretty mid powder. 1 Creeping Chill. That actually does affect the clock and how I have to think about things. Hell yeah, Once Upon a Time. There could be some conversation into Spell Piercing this, but I think I just like having cards in my hand, and there might be some essential thing I could force later. Oh wow. Found another Bazaar. That's a shame. Can I draw more Wastelands? Ooh. Well. Hello, hello. I will Ancestral Recall myself. I still have the Spell Pierce and the Force to protect this. And I guess I'll take the Wasteland where I can get it here, even though I know there's another Bazaar coming. Dredged Golgari Thug, hit 2 Poxwalkers, and Bridge from Below, and another Thug, so you can keep dredging here. There's a Life from the Loam in the graveyard now. Look at all these cool spells that he has access to, because he has a new take on the archetype. Okay, this Narcomoeba turns on this Cabal Therapy, and these 2 Bridge from Belows. Yeah, you got me. I will bite on the sweep, but opponent still has a 31 card deck with which to flip cards. Other Wasteland, can we do it? I play 5 of them. Oh, I could get Lurrus into play right now, and then Soul Guide Lantern again starting next turn. That's the way. Okay, Urza Saga, Black Lotus. I have all manner of protection for this. Just gonna rip it off. Lurrus back on the stack. Black Lotus back in play. And pass. This is a very important turn. Upkeep Bazaar lets you dredge in your draw step. There would be at least 1 dredge this turn. If he's got a second Bazaar, I could be in a lot of trouble. Discarded 2 Imps and a Cabal Therapy. Dredge 5. Doomscar Titan, what the hell is this? When this creature enters, creatures you control get +1/+0 and haste. Okay, so this is just a Dragon Lord Kolagon or whatever. Flamekin Zealot if you're old kind of thing. Alright, I was lucky that round to know my opponent and also have my best one of in my opening hand. These are all Dredge hate cards. Momentum Breaker can help catch up versus Dredge, because I don't want my Fatal Pushes in, but like they don't kill Hollow One, which is the problem. Null Rod doesn't matter here. Mind Break Trap certainly doesn't matter. Consigned to Memory I actually like against Dredge quite a bit. This can counter Hollow One. It can also do things like counter a Narcomoeba trigger, which could, like that last game where I had to Soul Guide Lantern that Narcomoeba because it was about to explode into a bunch of different options. If I could have countered that Narcomoeba trigger, I would have been able to keep my Soul Guide Lantern. Vexing Bauble turns off most spells Dredge would play, though my opponent has cards like Life from the Loam in the deck. Well, there is mana. What cuts get me into these consigns? The first cuts were easy. I guess Force of Negation. Do I want to cut a third Force of Negation for a Momentum Breaker number 2? Counter spells are not really the sauce versus Dredge. There might be one showdown where you're fighting over, like, I have a Grafdigger's Cage, opponent has a Force of Vigor, I counter the Force of Vigor, Force of Will back, and then that's it. I haven't actually looked at his lists. I saw him tweet about it the other day, and I was like, yeah, it's awesome you're working on this, but I didn't actually click into it, which I now regret, and I'm not going to do in the middle of our match. Okay, here we go. Getting game 1 is a big deal, obviously, and I will keep this. And that is one of the strengths of the Dimir control deck. You just have all these wastelands. Psychic Frog can get bigger than their stuff. You get Urza Saga and Lurrus, which incentivize you to do things like main deck 1 Soul Guide Lantern. Zara Baghdad. Mental Misstep might not need to be in my deck right now. Maybe that's a cut I could fiddle with if there's a game 3. Stinkweed Imp there. Once Upon a Time. Grief, yuck. Alright, well, now I'm in trouble. I was kind of in on this Grafdigger's Cage. Grief pitching Creeping Chill. And Wasteland's still a great draw. One of my other cages, my Tabernacle. There's a lot of hits here. But that was a little stinky. Chalice on 0, okay. That does affect 3 cards in my deck. That wasn't one of them. Alright, here we are in the scary mode. Opponent's going to get a full turn of uninterrupted Bazaaring. Dredged, Stinkweed Imp, fair and square. Didn't hit a second Dredger, wow, okay. Oh no, there is a Shambling Shell. It's just a bad Dredger. But it is still a Dredger. 1 Creeping Chill struck here. That can happen. Is your last card in hand another Bazaar? Did you get me? No, okay. I am going to Surveil here. I got a lot of good cards I could see. Mox Jet's not one of them. Not anymore, thanks to Chalice of the Void. Tight. Big Rips. Alright, well, there's no hiding that I'm not doing much here. That's the turn. There's 2 Icarids and Poxwalkers. I think if this was 1 Icarid, I think I would consign here. Oh, Poxwalkers counts when you cast spells, which Icarid's not a spell. It's an activated ability. Or it's a triggered ability. Narcomoeba, Bazaar tap. There's 2 Dredgers available. Hit a Creeping Chill. 2 Creeping Chills, and another Icarid. Yeah, I'm just going to get burned out here. If I drew a land straight up instead of having to Lorien for it here, Bowmaster could actually buy me a ton of time versus the Icarids, and it might be fine. But that's not real life. Not the universe we live in. Yeah, I'm F4, and there's 3 Icarids over there. They can all trigger. I need to draw a Graveyard Sweeper right now, and I can actually resolve Tormod's Crypt through Chalice because I have Consign. Big hits. Upkeep. Targeting. Ooh, that's annoying. Okay, so I have to interact with this. I could go to 2, but then I die to the Narcomoebas. I could Spell Pierce this. Do I think being at 2? There's no way being at 2 is better. Alright. Hard cast Mental Misstep on that. And then draw Grafdigger's Cage. Black Lotus! Does that help? I think it's too far behind. I can play Lotus, counter the Chalice trigger with Consign, have 3 mana to play with, but that does not get me over. Okay. There's Dredge on the play. I think my plan is the same here. Yep. Same plan. I just get to go first this time. That's the first game I've lost in this league. Been running pretty good so far. Okay, Tormod's Crypt that I can protect, and there's a Wasteland to back it up. Keep. This handles the first scary graveyard wave and handles the first Bazaar. I haven't actually seen any mana yet. I wonder if that Life from the Loam that we saw game 1 is just to support Force of Vigor out of the sideboard, or just get a critical mass of Dredgers up if you've cut blue from the deck entirely. Like if you just need to fill in slots if you don't have prized amalgams and that kind of shit. Okay, Tormod's Crypt. I can protect it with Spell Pierce. Mox Jet get in and pass the turn. We're in an interesting spot here where my opponents, once upon a time, have been very good, and I'd like to Spell Pierce them, but I also strongly suspect the presence of Force of Vigor in this deck, and I want to Spell Pierce that too. I can Mental Misstep a Noxious Revival if opponent tries to pick Bazaar back up. Griefing me. All right, well, I won't get a choice. This one I cannot interact with, and we'll see quickly which one they care the most about. Though it is noteworthy that my opponent could have discarded one of these other 2 cards in hand to cast this Once Upon a Time for free and went this direction instead. Those 2 cards in hand got to be good, and got to be good together, I think. That's a nice follow-up. Like, if my opponent has a Force of Vigor, I'm actually just going to hold this, because Tormod's Crypt can force the first round of action, and then I'll worry about Grafdigger's Cage later. I just don't want to lose both to a Force of Vigor. Yeah, second Bazaar, let's go. Okay, Creeping Chill, Milled. This is just Creeping Chill. Alright, I can take 3 from that. That doesn't cost my Tormod Script. Okay, opponent's down to 1 card in hand, which means it's safe to deploy the Grafdigger's Cage. Oh, that one's nice! Okay, Urza Saga. Just sinking fully into the if you ever a Force of Vigor, I'm dead line. Now Icarid doesn't work. This is a little confusing. Magic Online had an update where it displays Dredge, like the option to Dredge as a triggered ability, and that's nice for readability of what actions players have available to them on this client. But it is important to note, especially for boarding in cards like Consign to Memory versus Dredge, that just please understand that you cannot consign to memory a Dredge trigger. Like, that's not a thing. Your opponent replaces their draw with that. Okay. Just declining to Dredge. They're looking for actual options here, looking for real cards. I could have Bowmastered this Bazaar activation, but I think a Construct will win the game faster. I discarded a Bazaar and a Creeping Chill. I love seeing those good cards get tossed away because I have hate available. Oh, there's more hate. I guess I just tutor like another Cage here. I could... Oh, Vexing Bubble probably locks out all the outs. Yeah, that's nasty. Okay. Now 0 mana spells don't work, and I can exile the graveyard anytime. We got the GGs. Yeah, the third piece. These decks are just really good against Bazaar decks, and we see why here. And being on the play helped, taking game 1 helped, but we're a deck that can take game 1 versus Dredge. On to the final trophy round.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables.
I'm on the draw in the final round against Non-Lurrus. This basic Swamp Mox Jet has been the plague of my existence throughout. I would definitely keep this hand if one of these negations was Will, and I think I am going to keep still with them being Force of Negations. If this is Initiative, I just have to attack the mana source, which is what I would do anyway. Okay, it's just Dredge again. Cool. Well, off we go. Hand's not well suited against Dredge, though this Urza Saga can get to work doing other stuff, I guess. Depends on how fast they come out. I expect to lose Jet or Bowmaster here. It would be sick, though, if this is not Dredge and this is like some off-meta Reanimator deck and the double Force negation actually is stuffing them. Or if this is like Oops All Spells. Though, why would any of those decks have Shambling Shell? This is definitely Dredge. I'm off it. My excitement is gone. Okay. The keep 7, grief you, activate Bazaar, Baghdad. Tough one. 2 Icarids in the bin already. Oh. Oh. Well, okay then. Wasteland you. Hope you don't have another Bazaar. Not a bad rip. I'm going to get the Mox in just in case this turns on a Mindbreak trap later, or if they come up with Chalice of the Void somehow. Just, I think it's safer in play. I was just going to play Bowmaster this turn to absorb some Icarid beats, but now I got a real plan. Please don't have another Bazaar. Okay, Icarid ate the grief. That's fine. Fully expected that to happen. I don't think it's going to eat this Thug. Dealing 6 to me when I'm at 20 and having no Dredgers left does not seem like a game plan. Yep. Golgari Thug. Trigger on the stack. My favorite joke ever since Moto made this change. Okay, they slow dredged, hit Golgari Grave Troll. That is the biggest dredger you're allowed to play, and you only get one of them. So, big deal that it's there. And no second Bazaar. Let's go. Playing Urza Saga here is the best plan for me, but it gets cooked the hardest if my opponent has Force of Vigor. I just have to hope that isn't what's going on. Alright, cool. They don't have Force of Vigor. I don't really expect these Icarids to come out because my opponent knows I have Orcish Bowmaster. Wow. They exiled a Dredger to do this. Deal. I will let you dredge first. If this hits Bridge from below, I might wish that I had acted first, but it didn't. Okay, you can attack. I can make Orcish Bowmaster. We all knew about this. Donk that guy. Okay, this is actually pretty decent position to be in. I am just going to play out the Swamp and Gitaxian Probe right now. Okay, they do have Force of Negation and a blue card over there. I am going to leave my Bowmasters back to absorb potential Icarid damage. I think this game is mine on this turn cycle unless I get too risky. Oh, no Icarids, which actually would have brought back Prized Amalgam. Like, I don't like the Icarid last turn, but I do like it this turn. And opponent is playing their cards the opposite of how I would play them. It's their deck to play. I mean, no shade. Because I think that this Prized Amalgam would have been quite a prize, even if the Icarid isn't going to do anything. All right, Silver Smoke Ghoul. That one does trigger. And that will trigger Prized Amalgam, but it won't come back till my end step, where it won't be in the graveyard anymore by then. Yeah, that comes back in the next end step, which is not going to happen. Construct. Soul Guide Lantern is better here for me than Vexing Bauble is. Hit that Prized Amalgam. That's the one I'm worried about. And now I can attack. Okay, they've had enough. Cool, another game 1 versus Dredge. And then a bunch of cards come in. Well, 9-card package here. And the Momentum Breaker is totally optional. I do think it's right to have Consign in, though. Obviously, I keep doing it, but this build's a little different than Mafusha's build with the Poxwalkers and stuff. Like, Prized Amalgam is something I might actually want to Fatal Push, but I don't think that's... I don't think that's better than the cards I'm bringing in against that. Okay, I have a Grafdigger's Cage in my hand. Opponent kept 7. Is Grafdigger's Cage enough to keep on? Alright, I am going to keep... I also have 3 mana. This is almost as broken a mana start as my deck's capable of. I can answer a Hollow One and stick Grafdigger's Cage, like if they don't disrupt me. Obviously, disruption's part of the package, etc., but at the same time, they do just have to keep hands with Bazaar in them. 2 Stinkweedums and a Chill discarded. No additional follow-up. Alright, deck, right now, something like Spell Pierce would be a great draw. Time Walk. Is this where I want to be in life? I guess so. Mox Sapphire. Fetch. Underground Sea. Time Walk. I'm just trying to respect Mindbreak Trap a little bit here. And if they rip off a Force on this Time Walk, and then I go Moksha Grafdigger's Cage from hand, that's going to be so sick. They're thinking about it. There's a pause. Force it. Yeah, let's go. Force of Will pitching Prized Amalgam. Oh no! Right, do they have another Force or a misstep over there? We're in there on the Grafdigger's Cage. Force of Vigor is still live. And I have plenty of secondary targets as well. Moment of truth. We're in my end step. Long pause in my end step. I feel like I'm about to get Force of Vigored. The typical Dredge Cap 7 experience. Whoa, alright. Well, the game continues. I need to worry about Creeping Chills and Hollow Ones. Or I need to worry about them sculpting their hand to a spot where they can remove Grafdigger's Cage. And they have drawn a card and then activated Bazaar without any dredging. They are looking for answers here. They're not trying to... Okay. Force of Vigor will kill 2 things anyway. So I am just going to hold. And if they do execute this plan of digging up a Force of Vigor, then I have to endure 1 turn. And then we can stick the other one. And my plan is to flash out Bowmasters when they tap this Bazaar. At least cause some trouble for you. Pew pew. They can, of course, choose to dredge these to not draw cards, but that is clearly not the plan they're on. Oh yeah. Actual draw is taken. And their cards in hand matter. Even if they're a graveyard deck and stuff, playing a Momentum Breaker in this environment, that makes what they're allowed to keep after a Bazaar a bit worse. Or I could just hold these Momentum Breakers forever and try to play around the possibility of future Hollow Ones. Yeah, if the last card in their hand right now is Hollow One and they just griefed me to see double answer to it, they're going to be bummed. I'm feeling good here, team. I took the backup cage. That leaves 1 card in hand, which means... Oh man, I really want this frog in play. But if I break their momentum right now, and that card in their hand is Force of Vigor, that's going to be so smart. All right, I'm going to break their momentum. All right, Noxious Revival, sure. Okay, that's not the Force of Vigor I was looking for, but it is a green card. It is also a tool that they could use if they just dredge into a Force of Vigor to pick it up. They're just going to die really quick here, is the thing. Having 4 power in play right now, and they're just scooping it up. That is a clean trophy, where the only person to take a game off me was Mafouche Van Gogh. 2 tough matchups in a row, the PO matchups that I navigated 2-0, and then a good matchup, the Besiege combo deck, and then 2 more good matchups in Dredge. Hard to argue with trusty old Dimir control. And the list is good. All of the flex slots I called out earlier, the Seal of Removal didn't really come up, but it was blue in a spot where most cards that you would play that do this are black, and that helped support the 7 forces. I was leaving this in even versus combo decks. And I think there was even a game where I sat with Force of Will plus Seal of Removal in my hand for a couple turns against a combo deck, and that was actually the blue card I pitched, where if it was Fatal Push, it would not have worked. This shell is established, the core cast of cards is clear, but getting those little percentages on the edges where like your flex slot can turn on a Force of Will or something is really big. The main deck Null Rods came up a couple times. Great list, Montolio. And to my anonymous Patreon subscriber who asked me to do this, I hope this was educational. Obviously, a lot of winning was had, and that feels good. It also feels good to know this one's in the back pocket for my upcoming Vintage events. I prefer PO. I love that Lurrus PO deck, but if I can't feel good with it, I've got Dimir just sitting there, and I know I'll feel good with this. I'm going to leave this one here. This was a trophy with stock Dimir Lurrus. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon to support the channel, and I'll see you next time.